Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning to you, Minister. Just a couple of things. Would you like to make a statement re the Twitter and what they have actually said? I don't know whether anybody has asked that question already. The second one is, could you give me a definition of what you consider is the far right? In relation to the attestations that's taking place, Fine Gael put up on their website on the 29th of November, the Justice Minister, Helen McEntee, has fast-tracked the attestation of trainee Gardaí in Templemore, meaning there'll be more Gardaí for Christmas. But you've just told them this morning that you never claimed that you were doing that. So I just want to know, can you just clarify that as well? Now, in relation to the Garda numbers, which I really think, I don't know how we're going to do better on this, Minister, and I really don't envy you in that task. But at this moment in time, we have 237 recruits that have actually fully passed out through Templemore this year. And that's really all we would have had, other than because this particular class that are passing out next week, there's 150, I think approximately 150 of those. So, and that they would not have been coming until January. So really this year our figures would have been at the 237, which really is not great. And I know this year the 637, but at this moment in time, if we hadn't fast-tracked those ones that are coming out now next week or on the 15th, our figure would have been at 237. So that's something else I'd like you to deal with as well. And I'm also concerned about all our commuter towns and all our villages around the country and towns around the country, that if Gardaí are summons to come to Dublin, where does that leave our communities with regard to policing? And I am really concerned about that, because we've had a lot of burglaries in and around our areas over the last 2 weeks. So there are just a couple of questions that I'd like you to answer, Minister. Thank you.
Firstly, in relation to Twitter, so what I said earlier was that following on from the riots, I met with members of An Garda Síochána who had been responding on that day, and they said very clearly to me and to the Taoiseach that there were certain platforms that engaged better than others, and they highlighted Twitter having not responded and not engaged in taking down certain
So are you telling
material.
me that the statement that Twitter put out yesterday or the day before was an incorrect statement, and Twitter are misleading and misinformation? So you're saying...
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, I was given information by Gardaí. They said very clearly what happened on the day. I will be getting a larger report, so the initial report I have from the Gardaí is just outlining kind of the steps and the mobilisation of Gardaí, but a wider report will obviously detail more of what was going on the day, and that will include that. But it was said very clearly to me by Gardaí that certain platforms had engaged in a much better way than others, and that is what I said in the House, and that is what I relayed, and that is the point that I was making. But obviously I will engage with them once I receive the full report, so I'm not contradicting anybody. I'm saying that was what was said very clearly to me by Gardaí, that we're actually working and we're on the ground and we're in their stations on the day. In terms of a definition of the far right, I mean, it's obviously a political ideology, or it's a particular view that a person has. I'm not sure there is a definition. It's not.
So it's a little bit like hate.
Well,
yeah. So
it's not.
I think we need to define
Senator,
what it is.
you have a limited amount of time. If you interrupt the Minister, you're going to run out of time. So just let her answer the question.
Thank you.
I think what we see from a lot of people who would claim to be far right, which is not a crime for somebody to have a particular ideology, it's where they act on maybe certain matters, but we have seen people to be anti-government, anti-state, anti-immigration, anti-women's rights, amongst other things. That would be my own particular view of those who would claim to be far right. In terms of attestations and overall numbers, I mean, I think it's a positive thing that the Gardaí that were due to be attested in July are being fast-tracked. It means
January,
that we have more
in January,
or January, sorry, that yes. they are being attested next Friday. And I mean, to your last point, we obviously don't want Gardaí coming from all over the country and being stationed in Dublin, and that would be on a permanent basis. We need to make sure we have a very strong response and a presence in our city centre, particularly given what's happened. We want people to be confident coming into the Christmas period, that they can come in, that they can socialise, that they can shop. That doesn't mean that other areas are going to be stripped of their resources, and that has not happened. But obviously 150 3 new members being attested in the next week will mean that you have an even greater supply of Gardaí, not just going to Dublin, but also going across the country. So it's really important.
So, but you claimed that you had no role in bringing those attestations.
I've been very clear. The Commissioner engaged.
So will Fine Gael be taking that down off their website?
That's not a matter for me.
Okay, that's
not a matter for me, but I've been very clear. The Commissioner engaged with me.
That you had no role in fast tracking?
That's already been answered.
I've answered that. The Commissioner engaged. I very much supported this. He made that decision, and I'm very clear on that.
Okay, thanks very much.